Okay, so to start the week off, I just wanted to have a peek at some of the news that we have coming up, and we actually have, as you can see, a good couple of announcements basically every day. U.S. markets and European markets have a lot of things. Australian markets going into Monday, there hasn't been too much out today. A little bit of CAD news, nothing too crazy there. Going into Tuesday, we'll have the CPI for Switzerland. We have trade balance for Canada, and a little bit more of Swiss news there with the central bank speaking. Wednesday, we have FOMC meeting minutes, which is a big deal for all dollar pairs, obviously. Draghi speaking on Wednesday. Australian employment numbers. Those are great ones to just place pending orders and let rock and roll. So we'll have a little bit of live action for that Australian stuff on Wednesday. Thursday, we have interest rates for the UK. We have some U.S. news. We have Draghi speaking once again. I think that's the G20 stuff they got going on, or I could be wrong, could be something else. And then unemployment numbers for Canada on Friday, and the U.S. is still just, we don't know. We don't know when we'll have unemployment numbers, or our employment numbers, but they'll happen at some point, I'm sure, as soon as the government unshuts down. So we're kind of waiting on that little situation. But that's all tentative for now, so we don't really care about that. As soon as it pops up, then we'll trade the non-farm payroll. But until something happens, we'll have to be waiting. But so as always, any visitors that are with us, any people here for the first time, questions, comments, do not hesitate to type them over. Just type them right on over. If I'm in the middle of something, it might take me a minute to answer them, but I will definitely get to everything. So don't hesitate to ask any questions or make any comments. And again, we're glad to have you with us, so welcome everyone. Okay, so the euro dollar is starting to look semi-interesting. We've had some interesting euro dollar ness going on here. First of all, as you guys know, we love to watch those Friday highs and Friday lows. Now the Friday highs are way up here, and we actually have a little bit of a better descending trend line right here to work with. But our Friday low is sitting right here. You can see that the euro dollar has double bottomed on the 200 moving average on the 1 hour chart. That's kind of a big deal. Here's a big pin bar right here, huge pin bar, and a great reason to believe that we can probably get long against this area. But right now the Friday low sits at 135.38, so it's just below 135.50. So always 50s and 100 levels are always good to watch, and this is just below the 135.50, and this is actually pretty good because it's far enough below. I don't really like these highs and lows when they're right at 50 or 55 or 45. Because oftentimes those breakouts can be really just kind of testing that 50 level again, and maybe it gets 5 or even 10 pips past and then it springs back up. And the fact that this Friday low is far enough, it's 12 pips below 135.50, so a break of that level would and should be a strong enough sign that 135.50 is going to give way, and that we're going to have at least a fair open run down to 135.00 and probably 134.50. So I really like this 135.38 level, and I think it's going to be really important. And if that breaks, then we're going to have a nice opportunity to start shorting euro dollar in that area down towards some of these key areas, namely 134.60, 50 areas, and so on. So I'm going to be looking for that. The euro's in a pretty nice little uptrend though. We have a nice big fat bearish candle right here on the daily chart, but that doesn't deter me too much from our goal of getting into 137.00 / 137.10, and I still think we're going to make our way up there. We do have a little bit of a shooting star on this daily or on this weekly chart. Not super concerned about that yet. We'll see how that one goes. But what I'm more concerned about is getting long in this euro dollar and getting some of these opportunities. You can see that this 135 about 90 area is kind of an interesting spot. We have that's basically the high for the week, and that was also this little high back here. So it's kind of been an interesting level just shy of this 13600. So I'm basically watching this little area. If we break below 135.38, I'm going to be looking to get short down here towards 135.00, obviously, which is a pretty short little run. But ultimately, I think we'll work our way down into the 134.60, 70 area, which is where we have that big support right down here. So I think we'll have a good run if we break below this. But I'm looking more at a break above this 135.90 and taking us back into the highs of last week, which were about 136.45. So there's not a huge run there, but I think there's 50 pips. 50 nice little pips to work with, so we will take that. There's going to be probably at least 50 pips on the downside and at least 50 pips on the upside if we break either of these channels here. So we're going to be looking for that and looking for those opportunities to trade the euro dollar either direction. Questions, comments on that? Please let me know. Don't hesitate. But that's the euro dollar. So I'm still, just to kind of review, I'm still holding on to this uptrend. I don't know how much longer I think it has. I think the euro dollar is probably going to break 137, or at least get to 13700 and actually probably break that. One thing that I'm looking for on this monthly chart is the fact that we are still in an overall downtrend of the last couple of years. And I think that this euro dollar is going to run into some pretty significant resistance up here around the top of this channel, which is going to put us just below 140, somewhere 139. 100, 138.50, somewhere in there. So that's why I think 137 is not significant enough to stop the market. It could be, it definitely could be, but I really do think that we're going to break that and get just shy of 140 in the long run. So that's good on the upside potential as well. When we start to get some of these breakouts, these can be some good trades to hold on to. Okay, pound dollar. Pound dollar's looking kind of interesting. We had a really nice little move on the pound dollar here. I have been talking, for those of you that have been hearing me yap nonstop about the great opportunities we're going to have to get short on pound dollar. We definitely have them, and they're definitely here. So remember, we go back to a couple of weeks ago where we have this missed weekly pivot, which still sits around 156, just above 15600, which is 480 pips away from current market price. We did hit this weekly pivot. We had 3 in a row, and we had a nice little double top, and then we came really nicely down, almost 250 pips on that run right there. Took out that weekly pivot during the week. We still have this weekly pivot here, which again sits about 230 pips away from current market price. So these two guys back here, about the first week in September, first and second week of September, we had some nice missed weekly pivots. So what I'm looking for here on the pound dollar is it's definitely coming down to the bottom of this trend line and may be able to rally a little bit. I'm looking for this to kind of continue making its way up. We've got some great little opportunities for fib levels here, and you can see that we've crossed the 23, we're sitting right at the 38, and so I like this as an area to possibly start getting short. And this is where we may have to wait till the UK session, which I will check in tonight for the UK session, and we'll place some orders. But we'll also be watching this throughout the evening for any opportunities to get in here. But if we start to break above this, you can see that this 38% fib is just about 161. It's topped out a bunch of times right there, and that's just below the 200 moving average. We took out the weekly pivot, all of that stuff. If we break above this, it's probably not a trade that I would take. In fact, I'd probably stay out of that. If we break above that, we're probably fairly easily headed into the 161.25 area, which is the 50% fib of this run, which once again is about 245 pips. So if we break above that, I'm going to stay out of the longs, and I'm going to be looking to get short around 161.25 to 161.50. Right in that general area is where we'll be looking to get short against these highs, which gives us a 100 pip stop, but it gives us some really, really great opportunities to target this missed weekly pivot here. So, you know, it gives us 250 pip profit targets, give or take, which I am super interested in. So again, there might be a little scalping opportunity at the break of that 38, but going into the 200 moving average and all of that, I'm not currently interested in taking that long. Again, if it doesn't break up, then we're going to be watching this trend line. We're going to be watching how it behaves here, and if it breaks that trend line, then I definitely won't hesitate to get short and trade it down to the lows and hopefully beyond, which, you know, the lows, trading it into the lows would probably give us 60 to 70 pips worth of profit potential, and I think that should be a really nice trade there. So again, looking to get short around 161.25, 161.50. If it breaks, if not, we're going to watch the trend line and look for that move down and into a double bottom and potentially beyond and below. So that's where we are on this euro dollar. Yeah, Steve. Yeah, I think that's probably a safe bet. I'm not going to put the order myself until, you know, for that short, until probably the UK session, depending on how things move. But I think generally speaking, that's probably a fairly safe bet. Yep. Okay, questions on the pound dollar, guys? Questions on the pound dollar? If none, let's carry on. Now, I'm pretty bearish on pound pairs. I think the pound against a lot of other pairs will probably be working its way down. But I'm definitely bullish Aussie dollar. I'm bullish euro dollar. I think those pairs are going to continue up. The Aussie dollar has a pretty interesting setup, and I actually like this one quite a bit. Great, and welcome with us. Nice to have you visiting. But yeah, the pound CAD could have some really nice setups as well. We're going to look at a few other pound pairs as we go. The Aussie dollar is looking interesting. You can see that we have this really important level at 94.50, about 7. It's really about 56, 57, right around there, just shy of 94.60. You can see that the dollar, or excuse me, the Aussie dollar has topped out here a couple of weeks ago, and then it was the high of a couple of weeks ago, and then it was the high of last week, and we just keep coming up to that. And we're almost working on a little bit of an inverted head and shoulders pattern here. And so this looks like a great level to break. One thing that's really nice about this is we had this little descending channel right here. So the dollar, or good grief, the Aussie dollar was running up this channel really nicely, broke out of it, ran along this channel fairly nicely, broke out of that, ran up, came just bounced off that high of the last couple of weeks, and then it came down and tested the top of the channel before continuing back up. So this is a really great bullish setup here, and I think that the dollar CAD, I don't know why I have dollar CAD in my brain. I think the Aussie dollar will have a nice break if we get above that 94, 56, 57 area. And we'll be at least targeting the highs here, which are about 70 pips. That takes us into the 95.30 area. But ultimately, I think that the Aussie is going to be able to at least make it up to this 200 moving average on the daily chart, which is around 95.60, 95.70 area. So I think we have about a 100 pip run, give or take. And we'll just see how this goes. So again, a break of that level, let's get major bullish above 94.57. And likewise, if it does end up breaking, I think, let's see, do we still have, we still have a pretty nice missed weekly pivot on the dollar, on the Aussie dollar here. So, and we're currently about 300 pips away from that. So if we do start breaking some of these levels, then we'll be looking for opportunities to trade down to that as well. I don't like the break of this trend line quite as much because the breakout would put us right into some major support and into the 200 moving average and, you know, into a lot of stuff there. So that could be a little bit rough. But let's watch this trend line. Let's watch the break of the low of the week, which is around 93.90, 93.85 area. And we'll watch for that, and we'll see if we can get some opportunities to trade that break. But we've got a pretty nice little channel here. I like Friday highs, and I like weekly lows and weekly highs. So we've got a nice little channel. Let's watch for that break. I'm going to be extra cautious about trading this break of 93.87, but I will probably take that. So again, that could be something going into the European markets tonight, but we will look for pending orders there, and I probably will place a pending order at the break of this high as well. Yes, absolutely, Pat. Yep, I definitely like looking at that, and so we do have a really nice run there, and we're working our way up into that. So yeah, really good setup on that for sure. So the Aussie dollar, just like the euro dollar, and just like the pound dollar, except I'm definitely leaning more towards short on pound dollar. But so far, these three pairs give us pretty good opportunities either direction. We have nice little easy breakouts to take, so I'm pretty excited about that. Yen pairs. I actually kind of like this Aussie yen. I like the channel that it's in right here, our 4-hour channel. You can see how that kind of plays into everything here on this daily. We have double bottomed pretty nicely here on the daily chart. This seems like it might be the low for at least a little bit, which is 86.50, 60 area. And so I'm looking to see if this Aussie yen is going to make a break and get out of this channel first of all, and if it does, that'll be something good to look for. Remind me if we have any missed. I think we've taken out. Did we take out our missed weekly pivot? We did. So we had a weekly pivot and a gap right there that we've closed and taken out. So the dollar, or excuse me, the Aussie yen is is good there. So I'm just kind of watching this. This is the same channel we talked about quite a bit last week, which is a low of about 90.73 area and the high of this 92.38. This is a great little channel. It's pretty good size, but it's a great channel, and I think if we can get above, I would rather trade the break of resistance here at 92.38 to really get long, or as we've talked about in the session last week, trade against the lows, get in as close to this 90.70 area as possible and get long against that. So we'll be looking at some orders coming up on that, but we are really testing that area, and I think we're going to have some opportunities to get long against that 90.73. So I'm not going to post any orders just yet, but we will be watching that throughout the evening and going into the European markets. We'll see how that Aussie yen behaves. We have a very nice little run here in the works on the pound yen. This is a setup that I have been talking about like crazy. And then I didn't really want to take it because by the time it finally happened, the pair had dropped about 200 pips over a couple of hour period to break through a major support level. But the good thing is here on the pound yen is that it has broken through that 157.30, which was crucial, created a perfect bear flag that we talked about in the wrap-up session, and then it continued down from there, another 100 plus pips, and now it's consolidating down here. So what I'm looking for is we've got a little short-term double bottom here, and I think we're going to have a nice opportunity to possibly trade this up through the 23 into hopefully into that 38. We're going to have a lot of really good resistance around 157.00 to 157.30, which is our 38% fib, our existing support that we broke out of, missed weekly pivot, 200 moving average, all of this stuff. So I'm going to be looking to get short just above 157.00 on the pound yen, or trading the break of this double bottom, but ultimately I'd like to see this thing retrace, and I think we can get it up here. It seems like a long ways, but I think we can get it up here a little over 100 pips before we start getting short on this pair. And I'm really looking forward to this. I think there's going to be some really nice trades. After a bit of pullback, a little bit of retracement into that weekly pivot, then we should have those opportunities to start getting short on the pound yen down towards some of these key support levels. So that is going to be something very excellent to look for. I don't think we have too many. Do we have any? We had like one missed weekly pivot, and I think we took care of that on that run there. So we did. Okay, good. So anyways, really nice breakout, and I'll be looking to get short above between 157.00 and 157.30, or I'll be trading the break of about 155.50. All on the sell side, looking to short all of that movement. Euro yen, as I've said many times on the euro yen, I have not loved too much of what it's been doing lately, but at least it's starting to work its way into a bit of a channel, so we'll see how this thing plays out. A break of this short-term channel will be interesting, but it still puts us in the larger channel, which is kind of a mess, so not super interested there. Gold is channeling. Let's keep an eye on gold. Let's see where this goes. This is always crucial for dollar and stocks and equities and so on. Remember, if we break this ascending trend line, we're probably headed for that double bottom. I still think that gold is going to reach just above the $1,000 mark, 1,050, maybe 1,100 right in there. So I think we got one more push down on gold here. So let's keep an eye on that movement. Dollar CAD, we have the nice little channel in the dollar CAD that it is still in. I just drew these little channel areas here for probably the heck of it. I don't even remember why, but it's all about this 103.55 and 102.70 area. So we break out of these guys, and remember, above 103.55 we have a missed weekly pivot that's just about 80 and change pips, and below 102.70 we have a nice double bottom that's just over 80 pips. So we still have that 80 pip on either side run on the dollar CAD. So I'm looking forward to that, and I don't know how much there is to pull out of these charts other than just wait for the break of the channel and trade that. The channel, by the way, remember, is not that big. It's only an 85 pip channel. We've been in it for, you know, the better part of 3 weeks now. So when that breaks, there should be some nice movement. For the sake of time, remember that we have a nice little setup on this euro pound, and I'm watching this level. So far 84.75 has turned out to be a very important level. That's 200 moving average on the daily chart. That's the high so far of October, and the weekly high, and last week's high, I mean. And that's the top of this channel. So we break this, we can start making some nice runs up. I think we have a missed weekly pivot still that we have not gotten to, and that's back here up at 85, 40, 50 area. So if we can get into that little breakout area, that should be good for, you know, for some pretty good pips. There's some nice pips to be had on there, and it is the euro pound, so it moves a few less on pip sides, but it pays out a lot more. So I'm looking for that break there, and I think there may be some opportunities to short against that as well. So we'll talk about that, but that again will be coming more into the European and UK Open. Euro Aussie, just a few quick words on this one. This is starting to get pretty choppy, so I'm sitting tight on this Euro Aussie, and I'm just looking for the break of this high, which is 145.60 area. I don't know if I'll do anything with the break of the low at 143.58, but I'm just keeping it. It's getting really choppy and really messy, so probably not going to do too much trading on that one coming up. Quickly on the pound Swiss franc, I think we still have some missed levels on the pound Swiss franc. We do have a missed weekly pivot all the way back here at 144.00. And we're sitting here at 145, about 30, so let's just keep an eye on that. But I don't have any real entries in mind, but I think there's some possibility there. So let's watch that. Euro New Zealand is still hopping around. We did a little bit of looking into that Euro New Zealand. We're at the bottom of this channel. Let's watch for some breaks. Remember, we've got huge missed weekly pivots back here. This guy still sits about 695 pips away. We've still got this one up here at 166.00. So there's lots of pips to be trading towards those missed weekly pivot points. So we're going to be looking at some of those opportunities. So again, there's nothing I want to get into just yet on this Euro New Zealand, so just talking about that for a moment. In the rest of these pairs, I just wanted to say one last thing about the New Zealand dollar. Remember, we have 83.40 on the New Zealand dollar. We had one little peak above that by just a couple of pips. It went to 83, almost 83.50, and we could extend our level up to that, but I think we're pretty good at still looking at the break of this 83.40 level. If we break that, I think we're going to have some really nice runs and some nice movements up. You can see on this daily chart, we're bumping along support of the bottom of the channel here, and it's a great opportunity for some continued upside movement. Basically, you know, on a longer term, this is kind of a bullish flag type setup where we've had this run up here, and then we've had this consolidation here, which is very textbook of that little downward movement that we get in these bull flags. So nice run up, consolidation slightly to the downside, and then a break of that and a continuation higher. So I think we've got that in the works on the New Zealand dollar, so we're absolutely looking for opportunities to get long on that pair as well. So lots of good setups in the works, guys. I'll update the notes, and I will post this recording as well. And we'll go from there. And remember, we will be on tonight at 12:30 a.m. Pacific time, chat time, 12:30 a.m. chat time. So in about 8 hours from now, we'll be on, and we'll be looking at what the markets are going to do. It's not going to be a super duper interactive session. I mean, I'll answer questions, and I may or may not show my screen. I'm just going to be looking at things, and I will be posting setups basically in accordance, posting pending orders in accordance to what we've talked about right now. So I may or may not show my screen. Just know that I'll be here, I'll be typing over comments, and I'll be posting pending orders. So that's what we're looking for there. And yes, yeah, Gustavo, potentially trade that missed daily pivot, but I'm really more interested. We've had a little bit of movement on some of these pairs from the start of the week, but it's been a little bit choppy, which is why I haven't talked about the week or the daily pivots too much, because I think the levels right now, the highs and lows that were created from Friday and from this week, are going to be some pretty good ones. So that's what we're looking at. Yes, Pat. Yep. That's why we have Pacific time. Where are you located, Pat? Excellent. Guys, I'm going to start formatting this recording.